The little princess who turned the floor into soft clouds. In a kingdom where mornings shimmered like dew on flower petals and nights were wrapped in lullabies of crickets, there lived a little princess named Luma. Princess Luma was not like the other children in the castle. While others loved jewels and grand feasts, Luma loved small, quiet things. The sound of her slippers brushing the marble floor, the gentle sway of curtains in the wind, and most of all, the feeling of softness. But there was one thing she did not like at all: the castle floor. It was cold, it was hard, and every night, when Luma walked back to her bed, her tiny feet would tiptoe as quickly as possible to avoid the chilly stone.
Oh, if only the floor were soft, soft like clouds,
She whispered one evening, curling her toes. That night, as the moon hung low and round like a glowing pearl, Luma could not fall asleep. She sat up in bed, hugging her favorite plush bunny, Nimbus.
do you think clouds are really soft?
She asked. Nimbus, of course, did not answer. But Luma imagined he would say,
Why not find out?
So she climbed out of bed. The castle was quiet. The torches flickered gently, casting golden shadows along the long hallway. Luma stepped carefully, her feet making tiny taps against the floor. Tap, tap, tap. She paused.
Too hard?
She murmured. Then, something curious happened. With each step she took, she began to imagine the floor changing. At first, it was just pretend. She closed her eyes and pictured fluffy clouds beneath her feet, light, airy, and soft as whispered secrets. Tap, turned into puff. Luma opened her eyes. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Beneath her toes was no longer stone, but something pale and soft. It shimmered faintly like moonlight and gently sank under her weight.
A cloud?
She gasped. She took another step. Puff! Another cloud appeared. And another. Soon, the long hallway was no longer a corridor of cold marble, but a path of floating, glowing clouds. They bounced ever so slightly, like a gentle hug for her feet. Luma giggled.
It works. It really works.
She began to walk more boldly now, each step creating a new soft cloud beneath her. The castle floor disappeared wherever she walked, replaced by a trail of softness that followed her like magic. But Luma didn't stop there.
Oh, the playroom,
She said. She skipped down the hallway, leaving behind a ribbon of clouds, and pushed open the playroom door. Inside, wooden toys and velvet cushions lay neatly arranged. She stepped in. Puff, puff, puff. The entire floor began to transform. Clouds spread like a quiet snowfall, covering every inch. Her toy blocks sank slightly into them, and her dolls looked as though they were resting on tiny pieces of sky. Luma twirled.
now everything is soft.
She picked up a toy and tossed it gently. Instead of clattering, it landed silently, cushioned by the clouds.
No more loud noise.
She whispered happily. Then she paused.
What about the kitchen?
Off she went again. Through halls and around corners, Luma wandered, her cloud trail growing behind her. When she reached the kitchen, she pushed open the big wooden door. The kitchen was usually full of clinks and clatters. Pots, pans, and spoons hung everywhere. Luma stepped inside. Puff! Clouds spread across the floor, curling around table legs and drifting under chairs. A spoon slipped from the edge of the counter and fell, but instead of clanging, it landed silently. Luma clapped her hands.
It's so peaceful.
She wandered deeper into the castle, turning room after room into a soft, quiet world. The library became a floating dream of cloud-covered floors. The grand hall, once echoing footsteps, now felt like walking on gentle air. But soon, Luma noticed something. The clouds were growing. They weren't just staying on the floor anymore. They were rising slowly, softly like breath on a cold morning.
Oh,
She said. A cloud drifted up to her knees. Then another floated past her waist. The castle began to look like it was filled with misty, glowing fog. Luma tilted her head.
is that okay?
She took a step forward. But now, instead of touching the ground, her foot hovered. She tried again. No floor, only clouds.
Oh,
She squeaked. She bounced slightly. The clouds lifted her. She wasn't standing anymore. She was floating. At first, it felt wonderful, like being cradled by the sky. Luma giggled as she gently rose higher.
I'm flying.
She drifted past a chandelier, her nightgown fluttering like a petal. The clouds carried her slowly upward, swirling softly around her. But then, she looked down. The floor was gone. The castle was filled with clouds. Too many clouds.
What if I can't get back down?
She whispered. The clouds didn't answer. They only continued to rise. Luma hugged Nimbus tightly.
I just wanted soft floors, not a floating castle.
She began to feel very small, very quiet, and a little scared. The clouds around her glowed gently, as if listening. Luma took a deep breath.
What should I do?
She asked softly. She thought for a moment. Then she remembered something her mother once told her.
Magic listens best when your heart is calm and kind.
Luma closed her eyes. She placed one hand on her chest and whispered.
Clouds, thank you for being soft. But I need the floor again. I need something steady.
The clouds shimmered. Nothing happened at first, so she tried again.
Soft is wonderful, but I also need strong. I need balance.
She said gently. The clouds around her began to slow. Their movement softened. The glowing mist stopped rising. Then, slowly, very slowly, they began to settle. Luma felt herself sinking. Not falling, but gently drifting downward, like a feather returning to the ground. The clouds beneath her gathered, becoming thicker, firmer, until, finally, her feet touched something, soft but steady. The clouds no longer floated freely. Instead, they formed a gentle layer across the floor, like a soft blanket laid over the stone. Luma opened her eyes. The castle was still filled with clouds, but now they rested peacefully on the ground. Not too much, not too little, just right. She smiled.
I did it.
She walked carefully. The floor was still there, but now it was warm and soft, like stepping on a dream. No more cold, no more hard edges, just gentle comfort. Luma made her way back to her room, her steps quiet and light. When she reached her bed, she climbed in and pulled the blanket up to her chin. Nimbus rested beside her.
Cloud floors are nice, but only when they know when to stop.
She whispered sleepily. The moon shone softly through her window. The castle was quiet, peaceful, balanced. And as Luma drifted off to sleep, her dreams were filled with clouds. Not too big, not too small, but just the right kind of soft. And from that night on, the castle floors were never cold again. Because Princess Luma had learned something very special. That magic is not just about making things change. It's about knowing how much change is just enough. And sometimes, the softest place to stand is where softness and strength meet together.